What's up everybody, this is Danny and today I'm going to be doing a camera comparison between the brand new OnePlus 8 Pro and the older OnePlus 7 Pro. So I know there's a lot of people that are stacking up the 8 Pro versus the flagships out there, and that's cool, and I have one coming too. But I want to show you guys if the 8 Pro is actually worth upgrading to over the 7 Pro when it comes to the cameras. There are a lot of improvements when it comes to the 8 Pro in terms of hardware and the entire package, but I want to see how good the 8 Pro camera is versus the older one. So let me know which one sounds better. Let me know what video looks better, and then we're going to test this in all types of lighting conditions to see if the 8 Pro is worth upgrading to. Let's do this. Before we get started, let's talk about the testing process. All of the photos were taken on auto mode with auto HDR on. I know there is a pro mode on both of these phones, so if you have the time to dial in that perfect shot, you have that choice. But auto mode is what most of the general public will use, so I feel like this represents the average user best. One of the biggest differences I saw right away is the white balance. The new OnePlus 8 Pro generally lands cool on white balance during the day, while the OnePlus 7 Pro favors the warmer tones, so this will be a preference thing for sure. Most of the shots I prefer on the 8 Pro, and then some I prefer on the 7 Pro, but the 7 Pro heavily oversaturates sometimes, so I'm glad that that part has been toned down on the 8 Pro for the most part. The white balance does go back and forth, so it's not a golden rule, but for the majority of the images, that's what I noticed. Next thing is dynamic range. The OnePlus 8 Pro is showing a nice improvement overall. If you look at the sky and cloud detail, the highlight control is definitely better. But what I'm surprised to see is that the sky color is oversaturated on the 8 Pro versus the 7 Pro. The older phone has the more accurate sky representation, so I would like to see OnePlus fix this in a future software update. The 8 Pro has a larger sensor, so you'll notice a nice depth of field difference. Some shots you will absolutely love this. There are some advantages of the smaller sensor though. If you look at this lock shot, the 7 Pro gets a lot more of the subject in focus. While the depth of field isn't as great, it produced a better picture in this scenario. In this flower shot, you can really see the depth of field difference, but the 7 Pro gets more of the plant in focus, but the 8 Pro has that handy macro mode that the 7T has, and you can look how close you can get. It's incredible. There's so much detail up close. A huge improvement overall is on the sharpness on these images side by side. In most scenarios, the 8 Pro creates the much sharper image and is very noticeable, especially in the portrait mode shots. It's not that the 7 Pro does a bad job there, there's just more detail on the 8 Pro. Another thing is that there's an option of capturing a 48 megapixel shot in auto without going to pro mode on the new 8 Pro, and if you crop in, you can see better detail all around. Some of the images, the difference is very noticeable with less noise and much better detail, while some of the images don't show drastic changes. But the reason why I'm showing you 1000% scaled crops is to show you what improvements are happening, not because I expect you to crop in this heavy, but it is an option for reframing. And what's great is that 48 megapixel is also available on the wide angle as well on the 8 Pro, where you don't have that on the 7 Pro. So if you want pure resolution, the 8 Pro is the way to go. This is a nice upgrade. In some shots, you can see a drastic improvement, and the 8 Pro is a no-brainer upgrade, but sometimes the 7 Pro just produced a better shot, and it did have me scratching my head while I was editing this. I mean, the contrast level might be a little bit too heavy on the 7 Pro for a lot of people, but sometimes the 7 Pro just produced a sharper and more pleasing shot. The good thing is that this isn't the majority, so I wouldn't worry about it. When it comes to the skin tone overall and the front-facing camera, it looks like the 8 Pro is the one bumping up the skin brightness when it comes to brighter conditions like outdoors. But when we go inside, the 8 Pro seems to have better balance overall, where the 7 Pro seems to brighten the skin heavily, so it depends on the scenario. I think the 8 Pro is a little too dark, and I think that the 7 Pro is a little too bright, especially on the hair, so I would love to see OnePlus update the cameras to give me something that's in the middle of these two. Let's talk video. 4K 60 frames per second is the top end on both of these phones, which is fine. 8K is cool, but I'd rather have better 4K than 8K in my opinion. Dynamic range improvements are immediately noticeable on the new 8 Pro. Look at the sky and how much better the sun is controlled. This is a huge upgrade in that aspect. Also, when you look at the colors, that super oversaturated look of the HDR video is now gone in the 8 Pro. It is no longer exported in Rec 2020, but in Rec 601, which is odd, but it does fix the colors on the 8 Pro. It's way more natural with better balance all around, and while it's jerky during recording, you do have the ability to change to the wide angle camera and also to the telephoto camera for more flexibility, where you have to choose the focal length before you hit record on the 7 Pro. Also, improvements in stabilization are noticeable as well on 4K video. I didn't realize how rocky the 4K video was on the OnePlus 7 Pro until I was editing this. The 8 Pro has the newer optical image stabilization and electronic stabilization working together, which makes a big difference, as you can see. They do both have super stabilization mode, so I enabled them both. It does drop it to 1080p, but it makes the footage so much more stable while running. The 8 Pro is noticeably better though, way smoother all around, so nice upgrades here in stabilization. So let's get to the low light performance, which is one of the things that I wanted the 7 Pro to be better at, and I'm happy to say that the low light performance overall is better on the 8 Pro. The biggest differences that you will see here: white balance and sharpness. This whole thing does a flip-flop where the 7 Pro is now landing cooler and the 8 Pro is now landing warmer. This will definitely be a preference thing yet again, but I'm going to say that the 8 Pro was more accurate when it comes to the actual environment, but neither of them nailed it. I'm going to say this again: if OnePlus gave us something in the middle of these two, it would be perfect. In almost every shot, the 8 Pro is sharper and has more detail all around. The nightscape shots on the 7 Pro definitely help with sharpness because the main shots are especially muddy outside of the focus area. When it gets even darker, you can really see how soft the OnePlus 7 Pro is, and then when you crop in heavily, you can see the 8 Pro has less noise and much better detail. Also, that extra detail doesn't sacrifice on noise level either. The OnePlus 8 Pro does a great job of controlling noise in comparison to the 7 Pro. Look at the difference here on the crop. It's a major jump. Look at the window too. The dynamic range is so much better. You can even see the ceiling detail in the room. There is that random occurrence where the 7 Pro will take a better shot, but it's 99% unlikely. This is a definitive upgrade when getting the 8 Pro, way more decisive than the daytime shots. So I'm giving this a total win to the OnePlus 8 Pro, from landscape even to the portrait mode shots in the dark. The 8 Pro just crushes it. You're going to get a lot of that not enough light error on the 7 Pro, where you don't get that on the 8 Pro. Same goes for nighttime 4K video. The colors are just so saturated without color conversion on the 7 Pro, where you can see more natural colors right off the bat with the 8 Pro. The bigger sensor really shows here by letting in more light and capturing more detail. Dynamic range is better on the harsher lighting conditions, and this end shot really shows the improvement in light capture. This is night and day. While it's not the sharpest video that I've seen, the 8 Pro is a huge improvement over the 7 Pro in nighttime video. Last thing to talk about is the nighttime selfies. And the OnePlus 7 Pro does have an advantage because it is much wider. I definitely prefer that. But when it comes to the images themselves, I prefer the OnePlus 8 Pro. I have to say, they are not the best front-facing cameras out on the market right now. Some of them just look pretty terrible. But on portrait mode and regular shots, the OnePlus 8 Pro does look better. So after all of that, should you upgrade to the 8 Pro if you have a 7 Pro right now? On comparison alone with the improvements all around in dynamic range, sharpness, and detail, I would say yes. I think this is a nice upgrade from the 7 Pro. The 7T might be a little bit different, but if you have a 7 Pro now and want a better camera experience, go for it. I think this is a certified win. But on the flip side of that coin, if you don't have any complaints about the performance of your 7 Pro, I would stick with it. I think the biggest upgrade here is the nighttime performance. It's big enough to call it a generational leap. If you're looking for a new OnePlus phone and are able to afford the top end, I think you're gonna love it. I hope this helped you in making that buying decision if you're looking to upgrade. Hit that thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe for many more comparisons coming up. You don't want to miss them. I will see everyone in the next one. Have a great day.